You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the listeners of the Undisputed Wrestling Show, I want to introduce to you the Abominable CPA, who is a star in Pro Wrestling Syndicate. And Will, I know how much you love exclusives. This isn't exclusive. This is his first interview over the internets. And I am so excited. And, you know, CPA, I really have to thank you. I know that this is your busiest time of the year. April 15th is coming, 2 weeks away. So we really appreciate you spending some time with us.
It's my pleasure, Zane. I must say, though, using the word star might be a little bit of a stretch, but I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, for those of our listeners that aren't familiar with you, can you give us a little bit of your background and how you got into this crazy business?
I think the first time I met you, I might have told you my intro to wrestling when I was probably trying to think chronologically. I was probably 6. I had just figured out how to turn the television on by myself, so because my dad used to work nights and I would stay at his house over the weekends, and I was with much labor flipping through the channels because again it was kind of a newly acquired skill. And I came across a vignette of some creepy-looking dude with a skull painted on his face, conjuring up who knows what. And it turned out it was Papa Shango, and for some reason that struck my fancy so much that I couldn't turn it off, and I haven't turned it off since then. And then I guess, I always wanted to do it. And then when I was 13, I got into a backyard wrestling federation that was conveniently run a block away from my mom's house, where I was known as CMS. And I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here, but it's
go
crazy.
For it. You're fine.
Oh, well, it wasn't my idea, thankfully. But my first wrestling moniker in a backyard in Glendale, New York was Crazy CMS, Crazy Motherfucker. Kind of draw your own conclusion as to what my gimmick might have been. Yeah, and then I did that for a while. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Doghouse. It's where, like, Homicide trained. A lot of guys came out of there, like Low Key. Ezekiel Jackson came out of there. Apparently they did this with more people than us, but they would let, like, I guess, backyarders use their ring at $10 a head. And basically the only requirement was that you had to learn how to do the very, very bare essentials of being able to inhabit a wrestling ring and not fight outside the ring. So I did that for a little while. Again, I learned like the bare essentials, and I was like 14. This is between ages 14 and 15 and a half, 16, give or take. And then I took a very, very labored 10-year break from wrestling until I joined up with PWS in June of 2013.
Well, so tell us about your training at PWS. For our listeners that aren't familiar with Pro Wrestling Syndicate, it's primarily a school, but they run huge shows just about once a month, right?
Yep, yeah. We're starting to get more like fundraiser shows and stuff because they hype. Bring PWS to your town, stuff like that on their television shows, which I will show momentarily. But, yeah, we run one big show per month between the months of, like, September and June. We usually take the summers off because the building we run out of doesn't have very good air circulation, so.
Well, okay, so put over the television show because, well, for one of the things, you are in the opening credits of the show, which is amazing, and it is on broadcast television in several cities now.
Yeah, you mind if I run through the lineup? I might want to do it at the end too, but as is the podcast custom. So Pro Wrestling Syndicate is currently available in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut on WLNY. Yes, the channel that Shotgun Saturday Night used to run on. 4:30 Sunday mornings until 4:30 to 5:30 Sunday mornings. So unless you're one of those people who just likes to watch wrestling at 4:30 in the morning and isn't inebriated, I'd recommend using a DVR for that. We're on in Philadelphia every Sunday on Channel 66 Comcast and Channel 29 Cablevision. Sunday at 3:30 p.m. In Boston, 1 a.m. Thursday mornings on Channel 23 Comcast and Channel 83 RCN. And today was my first knowledge of this, but apparently we're on in Denver, Colorado, 8 p.m. Friday nights on Channel 56. We are also coming soon. I don't have the time slots handy because I guess they haven't been announced yet, but we will soon be on in Minneapolis and Maui. So we're an eclectic bunch of territories we're trying to reach out to.
So how do our listeners that aren't in one of those cities watch your show?
Well, as it turns out, all of these episodes are published on YouTube, usually between, I guess, Monday afternoons and Tuesday mornings. They're made available on YouTube. If you go to the Pro Wrestling Syndicate Facebook page, they are published on there pretty much post-haste as soon as they're published onto YouTube.
Well, excellent. This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We are talking with Pro Wrestling Syndicate's The Abominable CPA. I'm going to tag in the NWA Continental Champion, William Huckabee. Will, what do you have for CPA?
First of all, Abominable CPA, I don't know what you want to call you. Thanks for being on the show, man.
No problem.
All right, so first of all, I was going on your Facebook and stuff, and of course I've seen the T-shirts, You Can't Audit Me, and I happened to see one particular bearded wonder wearing your T-shirt.
Yes. I do ship out T-shirts since I think I've shipped out T-shirts 2 or 3 times now, just because I figured I'd hook the bearded wonder up with one since I've been friends with him for a few years, and I kind of forgot to, and I meant to for a really long time. And
I really appreciate it. It's an awesome. I'm wearing it right now.
Awesome.
I figured he would be, because that's how Zane is.
Yeah. First
question. I'm going ahead and assume that the Abominable CPA gimmick is loosely based off of IRS. Am I correct?
Oddly enough, it really wasn't meant to be. The initial premise of the Abominable CPA character, I was originally known as the Notorious CPA for exactly one show, my first PWS show. And it was actually initially a more of like a Charlie Sheen Wall Street type character. But you could probably consult Zane for this. I would not have worked very well in that character. I'm not exactly good at pretending that I'm anything illustrious. So, but
you're more of a PBR guy than Cavassier.
Yes, exactly. I couldn't have said it any better myself. So through promos that I had done in the character, and given that I have a very ever-present monotone voice, as you guys have learned very quickly, we kind of came to the conclusion that CPA is just a boring dude who happens to wrestle. And that's where we are now. Actually, it's funny you mentioned IRS. I was at in Queens once a year. They have something called the Big Event, where they bring in, there's usually between 20 and 50, wrestling names from they're usually kind of obscure guys from wrestling's past, and then they bring in a couple of modern guys here and there. But usually it's I think this year they had well, I'll get to that. So I had a match with TNA's EC3 recently, and I noticed he was standing there, and I went over and gave him a brother handshake and said hello. And he turns to me, he looks to the left, he looks to me, he looks to the left, and he says, "Holy shit, IRS and CPA are here." And I look to the right, and who's standing there but Mike Rotunda, IRS. I did not take a photo op because I did not. What's that?
What did he say to you when he turned in and looked? What did he say?
He didn't say any. I don't even think he was paying attention to us. He was signing autographs. He actually had a pretty decent line. So and I did not take a photo op because I didn't bring the CPA gear with me, and I felt it would be a disservice to the viewing public for me to be taking a picture with him with, like, you know, a Judas Priest shirt on or something. So I figured, you know, a better time will come.
Now, you're wrestling up there in the New York scene, or the upper East Coast scene, New York, Jersey, Philadelphia and stuff. How do you feel? Because I've watched a lot of your matches and stuff, and you're not, what I would like to call it, an ROH kind of guy. So how hard is it, do you feel it is to get attention, especially your area, when you're not working the quote-unquote ROH style of wrestling?
Well, I mean, truthfully, and I'm actually glad you asked that question, because I not that I have to address it a lot, but I have to address it mentally pretty much every day, because I'm thinking, you know, I mean, I was on a show a few weeks ago. It was, you guys may have heard of it, ICW. They've been running for probably about 12 or 13 years on and off, and their primary place that they run out of is the Elks Lodge in Queens, where ECW used to run there a lot. And I was on that show, and you know, I'm in the back getting my gear on, quote unquote, my Kmart gear, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, most of these guys, you know, they do their flip-de-doos and they do their super kicks and all that stuff, but I know this sounds like a very lofty goal, especially in our times, but my goal in wrestling, not that I really have a goal per se, but my aim in my work is to see if the modern smart, quote unquote, smart wrestling fan is willing to enjoy things that they enjoyed when they first became a fan. And that's kind of what I try to bring out in my work, as opposed to just, you know, 25 near falls and super kicks and backflips and stuff like that. Not that I'm against that stuff, because I enjoy a lot of guys who do that, and it's not that I couldn't do that. I mean, I'd probably have to lose another few pounds, but regardless, yeah, I like to embrace the hokeyr side of wrestling, but try to present it in a serious manner to an extent. So I'm not really sure how. I mean, I guess with the PWS base audience, it's working out, but I'm not sure how it would work out elsewhere.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We are talking with the Abominable CPA from Pro Wrestling Syndicate in Rahway, New Jersey. CPA, can you give our listeners some of your contact info, some of your social media sites, so they can follow what's going on with your career?
Right, of course. I actually I think 3-4 weeks ago, I finally swallowed my pride and created a CPA Facebook page. So you could just go on Facebook and type the Abominable CPA into the search bar, and hopefully I'll pop up, unless someone's a little salty about me being on there. I think I have like 85 likes, so I'm not really, you know, nothing really groundbreaking.
Right now.
Wow, yeah.
You're up to 91 likes, so all of our listeners, if you're listening live, go ahead and hit that right now, and on the archives, let's get them over 100 tonight. Actually,
I'm looking at my Facebook, right? I'm looking at the notifications right now, and I've accrued 1 like since I've been on here, so yes. Good on you guys. I'm on Twitter my Twitter handle is CPA Wrestles, because he does. I have an Instagram, but I don't know, I don't really use it very frequently. Well, if those of you out there are really hurting to see what I'm up to with my life, it's Bad News Adolf on Instagram. And if you have patience with my next idiotic posts, then go ahead and do that.
All right, so you just name dropped a little while ago, and I love it. I love it when people name drop, because I do it so much. You had a match with EC3. Can you tell us how that came about?
I wish I could tell you how
I just
What's
figured
that?
out something that you and Sting, who was one of the headliners from WrestleMania 2 days ago, you have something in common. You both.
Yeah, that's our degrees of separation.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's like me and Sting are basically like best friends.
Yeah.
The EC3 thing, TWS had him booked in November to have an appearance, and I think he tore his bicep not too long before the show was to happen, so he obviously, for obvious reasons, wasn't able to make it. So they got him, they got him back in the February show, and he was there. And, he was just kind of unannounced on the show. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be I don't even know if I'm supposed to be letting this out. I mean, he does work indie shows, but, whatever. As long as it's not on TV, it doesn't really matter. So I'll continue. So EC3 went out to the ring, and he said that, tax time is the worst time for his class of people because they have to give all their money to Medicaid and education and stuff like that. And I was particularly cross at these comments, so I went out there and tried to show him the way. I tried to audit him, but he kind of got the best of me, unfortunately. Next time, though.
Well, and what was you tagged with one of our former guests, the Vampire Warrior Gangrel.
Yeah.
Was there a new brood forming, or what was going on with that?
Originally, I was supposed to wrestle him one-on-one, and that was actually that was to be my first match back from a pretty massive head injury that I suffered on Halloween before the show, thankfully. And I guess, we went out to the ring, and then Damian Gibbs and Beefcake Charlie, collectively known as the Aesthetic Enterprise, came out to the ring to interrupt us, and so they kind of gave Gangrel and I no choice but to team up together. But that was like, I guess that was my first real one-on-one interaction with an old-timey guy, and if you don't mind me breaking kayfabe for a second here, the night before the show, I was told to, I was asked if I was able to pick him up from the airport. So I was told, yeah, pick him up at JFK Airport. He comes in at this time. Okay, cool. So I get out of work. I drive to JFK Airport. I wait. I texted him. I said, hey, I'm by passenger pickup C when you get out. So give me a call if you can't find me. I'm in this type of car. So I'm waiting there for a while. And I mean, I was sitting there for a really long time, and I almost feel ashamed to admit this, but I started playing his entrance music over my iPod, hoping that maybe that would prompt him to leave the airport. So I get a call from him, and he says, hey, I'm by passenger pickup C, and, do you see me? So naturally I get out of my car and I start running back and forth and making a spectacle of myself and thinking, well, this will probably get his attention. So I'm like, do you see me? I'm jumping up and down. I'm doing cartwheels. I'm doing this. He's like, no, I don't see it. So I'm like, oh, what are you, like, are you near any landmarks or anything? He says, I don't know. I haven't been to this airport in a while. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to New York, but particularly in the borough of Queens that I reside in, we have two major airports. And guess which one Gangrel was not at?
He was not at JFK, which was the one that you were told to be at.
He was not at JFK. He was at LaGuardia. Now, normally this wouldn't be too big of a deal, except it was if memory serves correct, around 6 o'clock on a Friday night. So there was a fair bit of traffic, but thankfully he was super cool about it. And then the next day he just, I assumed it would only go downhill from there when it came to working with veterans, but he was so cool. He was basically, I feel like his only real prerequisite of that match was that he got his DDT in, and he was basically willing to let me do whatever I wanted from there on in, But that went really, really well. That was my first big WrestleMania moment, so to speak, in wrestling.
Well, speaking of WrestleMania, your next tag team partner was just inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. Can you tell us about the Living Ledger connection that's going on in April 25th in Rahway, New Jersey?
Yep, April 25th, I will be teaming up with none other than the living legend Larry Zbyszko. My streak of dumb luck when it comes to partners and opponents continues for another show. I mean, seriously, like I teamed up with Gangrel in December. The January show, I was in a match with Justin Gabriel and Amazing Red, among other guys that I wrestle with, but those are two like prime, noteworthy guys. And Brian XL too.
Wait, time out. I'm gonna do the Blade Braxton timeout. Justin Gabriel, was he wearing the La Parka pants?
No, he did at the match I was in with him was his first indie show after him leaving WWE, but this was our January show. At the February show, yes, he wore the amazing La Parka pants that I went, I mean, not to sound gross, but I went 6 to midnight on those. That was fantastic.
6 to midnight.
I could not.
All right,
I could not.
Back with your story.
What's that?
Go ahead, back with your story on that.
Yeah, so December at Gangrel, January I was in a match with a few of the guys that I train with regularly, and then Justin Gabriel, PJ Black, otherwise known as nowadays, and Amazing Red. February I had EC3. At a show earlier this month, I got to team with Balls Mahoney. The last show we had, I got to wrestle the Scranton Strangler from Office fame, and in 3.5 weeks, I get to team up with Larry Zbyszko, none other than Larry Zbyszko. If there's anyone who's a mark for himself, I'm the last person, and that's what makes all these pairings so flabbergasting to me. But I try to hold up my end of the bargain and at least be watchable.
Well, that's very ambitious of you. One of the things that I love about Pro Wrestling Syndicate is some of their characters. Okay, so you'd mentioned the Scranton Strangler, which is based off the Office.
Yeah.
One of your buddies is the Blob. It was
yes.
Which Sandler movie was that from?
Billy Madison.
Yeah. What are some of the more outlandish characters that are involved in PWS?
Let's see, we got Starman from Pro Wrestling fame, the actual Starman from Pro Wrestling video game.
How can I have forgotten about that?
And he glitches during matches, yes. He glitches during matches. We haven't blown him out in a while, so he's still a little choppy sometimes. We have the Drunken Swashbuckler. We have Bonesaw. We have, no longer with us because apparently according to a Facebook post he put up, he failed a wellness test because he was still very disappointed that I teamed up with Gangrel instead of him. Who else? We have Johnny Howe, based off of Teen Wolf. Let me look at the roster page here. No, we had Little Mac was with us for a bit. We have brand new Suicidal Six-Way champion Habib from the Car Wash.
Now, didn't he get deported recently? Was he able to come back?
Yes, he legitimately got deported to Pakistan, but he is back with us. I didn't even know he was there on Saturday, but there he was, because Amazing Red did not show up for his Suicidal Six-Way match on Saturday, and who took his place? But yes, Habib from the Car Wash. We also have the lifeguard.
Wait, Habib, Shoot got deported?
He was in Pakistan. Yes, he was. He was legitimately in Pakistan. I joke very little. He was legitimately in Pakistan.
That's awesome.
We have Team España, and they need to update their picture on the roster page because there was another member who just kind of stopped showing up to practice. Anyway, PWS is a plethora of very, very interesting characters combined with just really, I mean, not to say that any of those guys aren't good workers, because all of them are, but we also have Mario Baccara and Van Moff and all those guys who, you know, who kind of even things out by being awesome and having great matches every single show under any circumstances. So, well, and we also have the handicap heroes.
Oh yeah, we just had the handicapped heroes on a couple weeks ago. They're your tag team champions, right?
Yep. They had a really solid match on Saturday. It was a gauntlet match for the tag titles, and they prevailed, obviously. But
I saw something recently where Zach Gowen said that winning the PWS Tag Team Championship with their manager Hush in their corner was one of the biggest thrills of his professional career.
Dude, have you watched that match? It was on. I don't know if you keep up with the the YouTube videos of the TV show.
I have not caught that yet.
Again, I don't mean to cuss more, but the fucking pop those guys got when they won the titles was like outrageous. Like I was, you know, floating around doing paperwork in the back, and thunderous pop when they won. I still haven't actually heard what it sounded like in live, you know, in living color, but the pop went through the walls. I was several rooms over from where the match was going on. It was ridiculous. So yeah, I wouldn't put it past that it was possibly the biggest moment of his career. That's
awesome. Hey, can you tell us more about Spring Breakdown 2015 on Saturday, April 25th in Rahway, New Jersey? I got Team 3D going to be there.
Yep.
Mick Foley is the commissioner of PWS right now.
Yeah, he's actually more or less a full-time member of our team now. Well, I mean, I guess I'll give a rundown of the card. PWS Championship rematch. Our brand new two-time champion Mario Baccara, the Croatian sensation, will defend his title against the previous champion Salaba. We have the Handicap Heroes defending their titles in a triple threat match against Kyle and Alex, the Reynolds brothers, and yes, Team 3D. Kevin Matthews will be taking on none other than, yes, Jake the Snake Roberts. What else we got? Terry Funk is going to be there. I don't think he's going to be wrestling, and if he is, then I might have to politic my way into like maybe a 6-man tag so I can team up with him and Larry Zbyszko. Yeah, he'll be there. What else we got? Suicidal 6-way match. It'll be, again, newly undeported champion Habib from the Carwash will be defending against Metal God Craven Varro, Bobby Wayward, Matt McIntosh, Johnny Howe, and Eddie Kingston. Wow, I didn't even realize he was in that match. Also making his PWS debut, I think PWG superstar Brian Cage will be coming in to take on Dan Moss. We also have you heard of Shinron? He's in, I think he does like Beyond Wrestling, Chikara.
Yeah, I've actually had a match with Shinron down in Tennessee, man.
Well, that guy is ridiculous with the amount of time, like his complete lack of shits given for gravity. But he'll be taking on Amazing Red, so I'd imagine neither of them will be touching the mat the entire match, basically.
As long as Shinron doesn't try to do a double moonsault, he is fine.
Funny you mention that. At our show last June, he did a double moonsault. However, he did it off the top rope to the outside of the ring, not to the ring. So he not only did he land it without hurting himself, he landed on his fucking feet. So
Zane, you got one of these days, Zane, I'm gonna send the clip to that, man. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Actually, I think it's in the opening video to the TV show, and if it isn't, it probably should be in there because I remember watching that and being like, well, I don't think any humans should be able to do that, but I guess there he is doing it. So,
well, I'm wondering how you're going to be able to have any sort of conversation with Larry Zbyszko and not just talk about Nitro for 45 minutes, an hour, the rest of the day.
I think we'll keep it to 3 hours because that's what I remember it being. So, I mean, truthfully, Zane, all the old timers I've worked with, I've been really kind of hesitant about bringing to, like, when I was driving with Gangrel for an hour, I think we talked about wrestling for, I think it was me saying, oh yeah, I think we're wrestling tomorrow, as if I didn't know or something. Other than that, I'm not really that great at bringing stuff up. I picked up Low-Key for a show we had a few months ago because he lives in Brooklyn, which is not too far away from me. I picked him up at his like apartment or whatever, and gave him a ride to the show. And we kind of talked about everything but wrestling, because not that I don't want to talk about wrestling, but I don't want to be. Of course, I want to pick their brains, but I don't want to be like, oh, hey, tell me about things. I should, but I'm not very good at it. But we'll see. Larry Zbyszko is a very, very special case, so I might have to break my vow of just being a really awkward, very antisocial person and actually talk to them about wrestling, because if there's a guy I got to talk to about wrestling, it's going to be Larry Zbyszko.
Well, is there any chance that Aesthetics Enterprise will have Mongo McMichaels in their corner?
You just don't threaten me with a good time, then. That's all I got to say. Well, actually, I think what would really put that over the top is if, like, let's say I'm in the ring and Zbyszko is on the apron, he just jumps down and him and Mongo do commentary for the match while he's technically a part of the match. And maybe Pepe the dog will be there with him too. and then like when I'm going for the hot tag, he keeps the headset on and just does live commentary of himself getting the comeback. I think that would be like the ultimate greatest thing ever for me.
Wait, what if Pepe was wearing a pink shirt and a tie? So Pepe was cosplaying you.
I would 100% let Pepe get the hot tag and do what he had to do. I'm not going to begrudge Pepe of getting his shit in. That would be amazing.
All right, the Abominable CPA. Can you give us some of your plugs again, your social networks and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Again, I recently broke down and made myself a little likey page on Facebook. It's just the Abominable CPA. If you throw it into the search bar, you will find it, hopefully. Unless I just go crazy and delete it, but I probably won't because it amuses me. I'm on Twitter under CPA Wrestles because that's what he does. And I'm on Instagram, but it's not necessarily wrestling related, so it's not really important.
Well, you are already up to 94 likes on your Facebook page.
Jesus.
Yeah, you're blowing up. You're going international right now.
I'm about to take Cliff Compton's spot in the podcast fame category, I guess.
Did I tell you about seeing Cliff Compton in person a couple weeks ago?
No, we hadn't spoken about that
yet. He was at a pop culture event. So it was Roddy Piper and Colt and Cliff, and then it was like Tracy Lord. Well, okay, it was Days of the Dead, but it wasn't their horror theme show. It was their pop culture theme show, brand new one.
Right.
So I've met Colt before, and very nice guy. I've heard he's got some sort of a podcast or something. Can you check into that for me? Does Colt Cabana do some sort of a podcast?
I've heard about it. I might have heard about it once or twice, man, but I'm not really sure. I'll look into it for you.
Okay, I think it's kind of a regional thing, maybe in Chicago area. But anyway,
I think he has about as many Twitter followers as I do Facebook likes now, roughly.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So he's growing. I saw Cliff, and I talked to him, and actually gave him a Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction cassette tape. So at least hopefully he'll remember me. But I had mentioned that we had him booked for our show, and he's like, "Oh, cool! I like doing podcasts, but I get really nervous on them." I was just like, "Really?" He's like, "No, dumbass! I don't get nervous on podcasts." So anyway, that's my Cliff Compton story.
What was I going to say? Well, did you meet Colt Cabana, or did you like chat with him at all?
Yeah. He actually slapped me in the ass.
Funny story about Colt Cabana. I was on a show with him in February 2014, and what's it called? PWS. We have we have a ramp, but we have a Synditron, and we all, most of us have entrance videos, and the Abominable CPA's entrance music is Spanish Flea by Herb Alpert.
Nice.
So,
classic.
So I pulled up. I think the show was at Edison Hotel in Edison, New Jersey, and I pull up. We got there a little late because I got lost on the way there because it was my first time driving there, and so I walk in and they were testing out the Synditron and the PA system and all that, and I promise you this was not timed or planned at all, but I walked in as they were testing out. I think this was the first night that CPA got his own entrance video.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in as they're testing it out. Again, not planned at all. I'm not that big of a mark. But, so I walk in and is going on. And, over in the far reaches of the room, I hear Colt Cabana making up song lyrics to my instrumental entrance song. Something along the lines of, "Hello, my name is CPA." He just went off into some Homer Simpson-esque mumbling. But yeah, that's my Colt Cabana story.
Well, you know what? I was a little pissed off because on one of his shows recently, and I'm not sure if it was the one with Flash Flanagan, that my buddies, the Razor Ramones, another cheap plug for them, was his song of the week, or if it was a different one. But he had mentioned working PWS, and I can't remember who he was talking to, but he mentioned your buddy the Blob, but yeah. he didn't mention you, so I was a little disappointed in him.
I mean, he knows who I think he has a general idea of who I am. I don't know if I drove to Chicago now and happened to pass by him, I don't know if he'd recognize me, but, whatever. I mean, Blob got a plug, and Blob's not even there anymore. So, I mean, I was happy to hear about PWS on a big podcast like that, so I didn't really need to hear my own name.
All right. Can you give us some more of those times and stations that the Pro Wrestling Syndicate television show's on?
Right. Okay, so for those of you in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, we're on WLNY, yes, the station that Shotgun Saturday Night used to be on back in the day. We're on there from 4:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. every Sunday morning, so set your DVRs. We're kind of going with the DVR movement here, and it's going pretty well so far. If you live in the Philadelphia area, we're on every Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. on channel 66 Comcast / channel 29 Cablevision. If you're in the Boston area, 1 a.m. Thursday mornings, channel 23 Comcast and channel 83 RCN. And if you're in the Denver, Colorado area, 8 p.m. Friday nights on channel 56. And coming soon to Minneapolis and Maui. Unfortunately, we're not coming to St. Olaf anytime soon. I'm a little disappointed about that, and I hope that doesn't fly over your guys' heads. But anyway.
Oh, we get the Golden Girls reference. We're cool with that. You're right.
Good.
Well, you're a big Golden Girls fan, right? Rose was your favorite?
Of course, man. Who doesn't love Blanche? Duh. I mean, although I would give Betty White, she could get the D. I'm not gonna lie, 'cause she's funny.
I was about to say, I think Blanche Devereaux was probably the inspiration behind the whole MILF thing. As creepy as that sounds, that's the only person I could see influencing that weird movement. I could be wrong though. I was only born in 1986, and I think that show started in 1986. So that's as far back as my pop culture reach can realistically exist.
Okay. So, what are any other stations? They're going to be on Maui soon. So, who's the Von Erich that lives out there?
Yeah, Maui and Minneapolis, and I know they're working on other places, but as of right now, those are the only ones that I guess I'm able to know about.
And And our listeners can find it on YouTube as well.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, usually, like the main run of the show is Sunday mornings in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut because that's our primary audience that we appeal to, seeing as how pretty much all of our shows are in New Jersey. But so those shows air early Sunday morning, and then they're usually published to YouTube by Monday night to Tuesday morning, and then they're basically, as soon as they're published to YouTube, they're shared on the Pro Wrestling Syndicate Facebook page, which you can find by going to Facebook and typing in Pro Wrestling Syndicate.
Well, hey, and I don't want to end this on a controversial subject, but I've read recently that PWS will not allow fans to throw crepe paper or streamers into the ring anymore. Do you have any comments about that?
Well, it's not a controversial no for me. It's more of a humorous no for me because my friend's son is the reason that'll happen. I think he's 6 now, and he's not like, I guess he is kind of an antisocial kid at times, but I think it was after the tag team title match, Alex and Kyle Reynolds beat up the Handicap Heroes in the ring and went to leave. And my friend's son took it upon himself to throw a roll of toilet paper at Alex Reynolds, and Alex Reynolds was none too happy about this, so he healed it up a little bit on the kid, and that caused a stir on Facebook, apparently. They came to see me. Well, they didn't come to see me, but I'm the one who said, hey, we're having the show come through on Saturday, and they did. And I saw them afterwards, and I had no idea that he was the center of so much controversy because apparently, according to all eyewitness reports, he took it like a complete champ and didn't start crying until after Alex and Kyle Reynolds left his general vicinity. But they've been kind of looking to do away with the streamers and the toilet paper for a while because people throw it at inappropriate times, like in the middle of a match. And it doesn't look very professional if you're trying to get on television. And the match I had with Gangrel, before the match, someone threw a streamer into the ring at Abominable CPA, which he got really scared by and hit under the top turnbuckle. And the streamer, try as he might, the Abominable CPA was too shaken up by Gangrel's entrance music to properly dispose of the streamer. So it sat over the top rope for the entirety of the match, and it looks incredibly lame and just, it's kind of an eyesore on what's otherwise a really pretty good production on a shoestring budget. So I'm, to an extent, kind of glad that they're getting rid of it, although, I don't know. It's kind of a new thing for PWS fans, so I think they just haven't figured out when is the right time to throw things at wrestlers. And generally, it's the entrance and only the entrance. And I've seen them throw it in at such inappropriate times as during a headlock. So, yeah, I'm all for fan participation, but, you guys have to figure out when these things are appropriate. And I guess my friend's son kind of had the straw that broke the camel's back with this one. So, yeah, that's gone away with. I'm sure someone will end up ruining it and, bring it back to the Puerto Rico days and start throwing battery acid at us or something. But, hopefully not. Time will tell, though.
All right. And, hey, CPA, can you give a quick plug for how people can buy Pro Wrestling Syndicate T-shirts and hopefully in the near future be able to buy the Abominable CPA T-shirts through the same area?
Yes, Pro Wrestling Syndicate T-shirts are currently available at ProWrestlingTees.com. I think, you just go on there, you go under the promotions sidebar, and, hold on, sorry, I'm unprepared for this. I was prepared for everything else, but not this. Yep, fucked up. Yeah, you go under wrestling promotions, you scroll down, and the second to last line, it's in between Pro Wrestling Noah and Pro Wrestling Tees, is Pro Wrestling Syndicate T-shirts. And you will find 3 shirts there. 2 of them are, well, as I told you before, we're kind of going for the DVR movement right now. 2 of them are hyping up the DVR movement. And the other one is a homegrown thing where it's a Pro Wrestling Syndicate T-shirt with Drunken Swashbuckler Bonesaw and Starman curling a 2.5-pound dumbbell, if I'm not mistaken. Really cool shirt stuff. So yeah, prowrestlingtees.com/PWS.
Well, and if any of our listeners want to buy the Undisputed Wrestling Show t-shirts, they are available from tshirtworldorder.com, and there's a little tab that'll say either wrestlers or it'll say promotion/podcast. We are the only podcast on there, so you can't get too confused about it. So please hit us up too. So everybody needs to get on their wish list for April 15th, the tax day, a t-shirt for Pro Wrestling Syndicate and a t-shirt for the Undisputed Wrestling Show. All right, my final question to you, my friend. What are your big plans for April 16th once everything's already filed? Are you going to take a vacation? Are you going to go back to the gym? What are you going to do after tax day?
Well, I didn't want to spoil this for anyone, but I am in fact going to Disney World.
Oh, yay.
And maybe I'll quit smoking. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, good luck on that. And April 25th, big show in Rahway, New Jersey. Please go out and support the Abominable CPA and some guy that just went into the WWE Hall of Fame, the living legend Larry Zbyszko. Thank you so much, CPA. We appreciate you coming on. You have a fantastic night.
You too. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you having me on here and dealing with my dronings for an hour.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, man.